welcome to another episode of Spikes and Heels Football for Beginners. I'm Gwen.
And I'm Sabrina.
And we just want to thank you for joining us. How are you today, Sabrina?
I am fine, hanging in there. How are you?
I ain't going to complain. I'm doing pretty good myself.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to get right into it. So what part will we be discussing first, Beanie?
Well, I think that we are going to be talking about the breakdown of the field, the sections of the field. So
got it.
Kick us off, Gwen.
We're going to start off with my favorite part of the field, and that's the end zone.
Okay.
The end zones are just what they are. There are zones located on both ends of the field. Mm-hmm. And then you can use that easily identified because they will usually have the mascot name of the home teams in the end zone. And this is where you score touchdowns, safeties, and the field goal is usually kicked towards the end of the end zone. Mm-hmm. Right, Sabrina?
That's right, Gwen.
Okay. And now this next part of the field is the sideline. Beanie, take it away.
The sidelines. So the sidelines are what they sound like, the sides of the field. When you are on offense, you want to stay in bounds with the ball and keep running. But if you run out of bounds, you're running off the sidelines. I don't even know how to explain
that. You just explained it.
Okay, yeah. The sidelines are the sides of the field.
That's right. Then you have the actual yards on the field. There's 100 yards on the field. So what your team is supposed to do is go 10 yards at a clunk. 4 tries to go 10 yards. Remember our previous segment. You get 4 tries to go 10 yards. If you don't go 10 yards in your 4 tries, you have to give the ball to the opposing team.
Which is called a punt.
Yes.
Right. When you give the ball to the other team and kick it to them, you're punting it.
And the last thing I want to tell you, but it's not actually on the field, but it's a part of the field, like the cloud. It's called the booth. This is where the offense and the defense coaches, there are several offensive coaches and several defensive coaches, and they will both be up high in the booth. And you can see a little better when you're up high. You can see how the plays match up and stuff like that. So they're all having a headset and be talking to each other from the booth. So if you hear the booth should review that play or the booth should look at that play, they're talking about the people sitting up high in the booth.
Yes.
Your team is on the field. You go 9.5 yards. You think it's 9.5, but the other team saying it's 10 yards. You're going to see 2 guys come out on the field. They're going to be holding these sticks with numbers on them, but there's a 10-yard chain in the middle. The ref is going to call them out. They come from the sideline onto the field. They put the ball where you started, and if the 10-yard stretch, if the ball is anywhere past the tip of that stick, you've made your first down. If it's not, you have forfeited your downs, and the other team gets the ball, or you didn't make your 10 yards in your 4 tries.
Yeah,
that's that right?
Yeah, you did. And basically what she's saying is they're just measuring to see if you made the first down. When it's really close, they only do it when it's really
close. Yes.
Yeah, and
you can't tell if you made it or not.
Yeah.
Yes. So now that is really the positive.
All right. Next up, we're going to talk about ways to stop the clock. I think we may have kind of mentioned it last week. And so now we're going to break down all the different ways that the clock can be stopped in the game of NFL football. The first one is timeouts. Each team gets 3 timeouts per half. Remember, there's 2 halves, and each team gets 3 timeouts, 3 chances to stop the clock per half. So if they call a timeout, the clock stops.
The second way the clock is stopped is an incomplete pass. This is when the quarterback backs up and throws the ball to a wide receiver, running back, or whomever, tight end, and they drop the ball. The clock automatically stops.
Yeah. Okay, and the next way that you can stop the clock in a football game is spiking the ball. So if a team is out of timeouts and they're trying to make it down the field, the quarterback can take the ball immediately, and instead of throwing it to someone or handing it off, he spikes it down to the ground. That stops the clock as well. That's called spiking the ball.
Another way the clock stops is if the offense runs out of bounds. So the quarterback passes either to the running back or he throws it to a wide receiver. If they go out of bounds, the 2 sides of the field we just learned about previously, that automatically stops the clock.
All right, the next way we can stop the clock is if a player is injured on the field. They're not going to play all over top of them. So they have to stop the clock. Oh, injury.
Another way that the clock is stopped is commercials. You'll see these often. Yeah. And this is how the team makes its money through endorsements. So they definitely won't stop the clock so you can see all the commercials.
Yes. All right, guys, next up, another way that the clock will stop is with challenges. We talked about those last week, and that is when the coach throws the red flag on the field to say, I challenge what that ruling just was or what just happened on the field. I challenge that. So they have to stop the clock to investigate the matter. So challenges stop the clock.
The clock is also stopped at a 2-minute warning. This is a 2 minutes of each half. So 2 minutes before the halftime and 2 minutes before the game is over. Now, if the team has the ball and making a play and it goes under 2 minutes, they automatically stop and take a commercial. So it could be 1:57. That's still considered a 2-minute warning timeout, which stop. And we all know a timeout stops the clock.
And the final way that we can remember that the clock stops is with penalties. That's when we talked about last week, when that yellow flag comes out when somebody's done something wrong. You have to stop the game so they can tell you who did what. So when somebody does something wrong, penalty stops the clock.
So there you have it, everyone. The many ways you can stop the clock, which is why 4 15-minute quarters and 1 15-minute halftime turns into over 3 hours.
3 hours.
And let's not even talk about overtime. That's a whole nother segment. But we'd like to thank you for joining us again for another episode of Spikes and Heels Football for Beginners. We hope and pray that you learned something. Have a nice, safe rest of your week. Look forward to seeing you again on Sunday. My name is Gwen.
I'm Sabrina.
And we want to thank you for joining us.
See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.